Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much.
Have you ever felt like someone just vanished from your life without a word? Ever stared at your phone, rereading a message you never got a reply to? Or wondered if silence is really louder than words? We've all been there, left on read, ignored, or simply met with silence. Maybe it started with a delayed text, a missed call, or an email that never got a response. At first, you tell yourself it's no big deal, but slowly, that silence starts to gnaw at you. You begin to question, did I do something wrong? Are they just busy? Or worse, am I not worth their time? The hard truth is this. When someone stops caring about you, the first thing to go is communication. They no longer initiate contact. And when you reach out, it's like pulling teeth just to get a simple reply. You try to be understanding. You give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe they're overwhelmed. Or maybe they just don't realize how much you care. But over time, the excuses fade. The silence becomes more deafening than any words could be. Now, this isn't about the occasional missed message. We all get caught up in life. Things slip through the cracks. That's normal. But when you're always the one reaching out, when you're always trying to maintain the connection, that's when reality sets in. Something is off. Because when people genuinely care, they make time, even if it's just a quick check-in. A short message. A simple, hey, I've been thinking about you. Even in the middle of their own chaos, they acknowledge your presence. But those who don't care, they won't bother. They'll leave you hanging, stuck wondering where you really stand in their lives. And let's be honest, it's not that they're too busy. It's that they don't see your worth, your presence, or your role as meaningful in their world. When someone truly cares about you, they'll make room for you in their life, consistently. It doesn't need to be big, dramatic gestures, or hours-long conversations. Sometimes all it takes is a quick message, a few kind words, or a genuine check-in that reminds you, you matter to me. But when communication becomes completely one-sided, when you're the only one reaching out, trying to keep the connection alive, it's hard to ignore the reality. Something isn't right. That kind of imbalance speaks volumes. It suggests they may be taking your presence for granted. And here's the hardest part. The moment you decide to pull back, to stop initiating, stop chasing, stop trying, they often don't even notice. Worse yet, they might twist the narrative and act as if you were the one who stopped caring. That's the painful truth. Their silence doesn't hurt because they're absent. It hurts because their absence is so casual, so easy for them. It's not just about unanswered messages. It's the emotional distance that comes with being ignored. You give your time, your energy, your heart. You reach out with the hope of connection. And what comes back? Nothing. No acknowledgement. No recognition. And slowly, you begin to feel invisible. You start to wonder, is it something I did? Am I not good enough? Why am I always the one who has to try? These doubts creep in and begin to chip away at your confidence, your self-worth, your belief in your own value. But let me remind you of something that's absolutely crucial. Someone else's inability to see your worth has nothing to do with your actual value. Just because they don't communicate doesn't mean you're not worth the effort. It simply means they never learn how to appreciate what's in front of them, and that is not your fault. People who genuinely care don't leave you in emotional limbo. They don't make you wonder if you matter. Instead, they make the effort, even in the smallest of ways. A quick check-in, a call just to hear your voice, a message that says, I'm thinking of you. Because for them, your presence isn't an afterthought. It's something they treasure. At the end of the day, we all deserve to have people in our lives who don't make us question our worth, but remind us of it, loud and clear. We all deserve to have people in our lives, whether friends, family, or partners, who truly see us. People who make the effort, who are present not just when it's convenient, but especially when it matters most. But to reach that kind of meaningful connection, we must first recognize when those who should care simply aren't showing up. Communication isn't just a nice to have. It's the bedrock of every relationship. Without it, there's nothing to nurture, nothing to grow, and certainly nothing to trust. So when someone repeatedly stops reaching out, when they go silent without explanation or effort, that silence speaks volumes. It's a sign they're not emotionally invested, no matter what they might have said in the past. It may sting at first. You might want to make excuses for them or try harder to keep the bond alive. But the truth is, chasing people who don't prioritize you only drains your spirit. So step back. Look at their patterns, not just their words. Protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. You deserve more than unanswered texts, more than delayed replies and vague check-ins. You deserve people who care enough to communicate consistently, who ask how you're doing without needing a reason. Don't let someone else's emotional absence shape how you see yourself. Just because they can't recognize your worth doesn't mean it isn't there. You are valuable, with or without their validation. When someone truly cares, their actions align with their words. They don't just say they'll be there, they actually show up. They make time, offer support, and follow through. On the other hand, when someone doesn't care about you, their words may still sound comforting, like promises whispered to keep you close. But if you pay attention, their actions often reveal a very different reality. That's when the truth becomes clear. This is where the gap begins to widen. The gap between those who care and those who are just passing through, offering surface-level presence with no real depth. And recognizing that difference can save you a lot of heartache. Think back to the last time someone said they'd be there for you. Maybe they promised a call, said they'd help you with something important, or assured you they'd show up when it really mattered. But when the moment arrived, when you actually needed them, they were nowhere to be found. And in that instant, the hurt wasn't just about the broken promise. It cut deeper. It was the painful realization that their words and actions didn't align. Their promises rang hollow, and their silence or absence spoke far louder than anything they had ever said. That kind of letdown lingers, doesn't it? Because words are easy. Anyone can string together comforting phrases or make assurances that sound good. But when someone truly cares, they prove it through what they do, not just what they say. When someone doesn't care, their behavior tells the real story. You'll hear promises that sound sincere, words meant to keep the peace or avoid uncomfortable conversations. But when the time comes to follow through, they vanish. They cancel plans at the last minute with little explanation. They're unavailable when you need support. They forget or ignore what they said they'd do, as if those words meant nothing at all. And here's the harsh truth. Every time they break their word, whether intentionally or through indifference, a little more of the trust you wanted begins to crumble. It's not just disappointing, it's emotionally exhausting. Because when you matter to someone, they show up. They don't just talk about it, they are about it. So the next time someone makes you a promise, ask yourself this: have their actions earned your belief? Now, let's be clear. People who truly care about you won't be perfect. Nobody is. Life gets messy. Schedules get tight. Sometimes, even with the best intentions, they might not be able to follow through on every promise. That's human. But there's a major difference between an honest mistake and a consistent pattern of unreliability. When someone genuinely values you, they'll do their best. They'll make an effort to honor their word, to show up, and to let their actions reflect what they say. On the other hand, when someone doesn't really care, you'll start to notice something different. They'll always have an excuse ready. Too busy, too tired, something else came up. And when they run out of excuses, they'll simply stop trying altogether. The gap between their words and actions grows wider and wider until it's impossible to ignore. And eventually, it becomes clear it's not forgetfulness. It's a choice. It's easy to fall into a loop of forgiving them. The first time they don't follow through, you might think they probably just forgot, or maybe something came up. You give them the benefit of the doubt, again and again. But slowly you begin to notice a pattern. The apologies feel rehearsed. The promises feel empty. Deep down, you begin to realize they never truly intended to follow through. They just told you what you wanted to hear. That kind of behavior, whether intentional or not, borders on emotional manipulation. They want you to stick around. They want the benefits of your presence, your attention, your support, but without the effort that real connection requires. And the most frustrating part, they often try to justify it. They say things like, "I've just been overwhelmed," or "I've got a lot going on right now." But let's be honest, who doesn't? We all have busy lives. We all face stress. Yet the people who care will still find a way to show you they do. Because effort isn't about having extra time. It's about prioritizing what matters. The truth is, when we genuinely care about someone, we make time, plain and simple. It doesn't mean being available every minute of every day, but it does mean making an effort, especially when it really counts. We prioritize the relationships that matter, even when life gets busy. Because where your heart is, your actions follow. But when someone doesn't care, their behavior becomes a recurring source of disappointment. They'll leave you waiting, not just once, but over and over again. They'll make promises they never intend to keep, and you're left wondering if they'll ever follow through. It's a painful cycle to be stuck in. You begin to ask yourself why you even try. Why are you always the one initiating, always the one holding on? Slowly, the realization creeps in. Maybe you're the only one valuing this connection. Maybe you're investing more energy than they're ever willing to match. And that realization cuts deep. You're pouring your time, your care, your emotional presence into someone who won't meet you halfway. And that imbalance becomes exhausting. But here's what you need to hear. You don't have to stay stuck in that place. You don't have to keep holding out hope for someone who's shown you, time and time again, that they won't show up. It's okay to walk away from empty promises. It's okay to stop settling for inconsistency, because their lack of effort does not define your worth. You are not unimportant. You're just not their priority. And that says everything about them, not you. When someone truly cares, their actions will always back up their words. You won't have to second guess them. You won't be left in the dark, wondering if they'll be there when it matters. Because they will be. You'll feel it in the consistency, in the follow-through, in the way they show up without needing to be asked. So, pause for a moment and reflect on the relationships in your life. Who is really there for you? Whose actions align with their words? If the answer isn't clear, then maybe it's time to stop making excuses for them and start making space for the kind of connection you truly deserve. It's time to release the illusion that someone who doesn't make an effort is still worth holding on to. You are not asking for too much by expecting consistency, care, and presence. You deserve people who follow through, not just with words, but with meaningful, ongoing actions. People who make time, who show up, and who prove through their behavior that you matter. Don't convince yourself to settle for anything less than that. You are worthy of real, reliable relationships. Now let's talk about something that often gets overlooked: boundaries. Whether we speak them out loud or just feel them deep inside, we all have boundaries. These invisible lines exist to protect our time, our energy, and our emotional well-being. They are how we let others know, this is what I need to feel safe and respected. But when someone doesn't truly care about you, they don't honor those boundaries. In fact, they test them repeatedly. They push, not out of ignorance, but because they simply don't value the effort it takes to respect you. And with every push, they hope you'll bend, that you'll give in, that you'll prioritize keeping the peace over protecting yourself. Think back. Can you recall a time someone disregarded your boundaries? Maybe they insisted on being close when you clearly needed space. Maybe they pressured you into saying yes when your heart was screaming no. Or maybe they dismissed something deeply meaningful to you, brushing it off like it didn't matter. How did it feel? It wasn't just frustrating, it was a violation. You felt disrespected, unseen, even betrayed. That's because boundaries aren't just rules. They're reflections of your self-worth. When someone crosses them, it's not just about what they did, it's about what they refuse to acknowledge. Your voice, your needs, your value. And that can leave you feeling small, unimportant, and overlooked, as though the person you trusted didn't take you seriously. But here's the beautiful contrast. When someone truly cares about you, they recognize your boundaries. And more than that, they respect them. They don't try to push past your comfort zones. They listen. They pause. They honor the emotional landscape you've worked hard to protect. Because your peace of mind matters to them just as much as their own. But when someone doesn't truly care about you, they won't even take the time to ask. They won't check in to understand your comfort levels your emotional needs, or the things that matter to you. Instead, their focus remains fixed on themselves, their desires, their expectations, their priorities. They'll push your limits. They'll manipulate your emotions. Sometimes, they'll even use guilt as a tool to bend your will. And every time they step over that line, whether silently or blatantly, what they're really saying is this: your peace doesn't matter to them. Your comfort is an afterthought. Your feelings aren't worth protecting. It's a quiet but cutting message that can leave deep scars if left unchecked. But here's what's crucial to understand. When you don't speak up, when you don't set clear boundaries, you're silently giving permission for that behavior to continue. It's not just on them. It becomes a reflection of what you allow. And that's where things need to change. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're not walls designed to isolate you. They're bridges built with respect. They are the invisible force field that protects your energy, your emotional clarity, and your identity. They remind the world, and yourself, that you matter too. Of course, setting boundaries isn't always easy. Maybe you're afraid of disappointing someone. Maybe you've been conditioned to keep the peace, to avoid conflict at all costs. Or maybe you worry that asserting your needs will make you seem cold or unkind. But let me reassure you, protecting your peace is not selfish. It's healthy. It's necessary. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you love people less. It means you love yourself enough to know where to draw the line. And when someone genuinely cares about you, they won't just respect those boundaries. They'll appreciate them. They'll see that when you say no, you're not trying to hurt them. You're simply honoring your own limits, choosing emotional truth over emotional exhaustion. And that, right there, is a form of self-respect we should all embrace. You're not setting boundaries to push people away. You're setting them because your mental and emotional well-being depends on it. But the unfortunate truth is this: people who don't truly care about you will often try to twist your boundaries into something negative. They'll try to make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. They'll challenge your decisions, push back emotionally, and may even attempt to turn the blame on you. They'll say things like, "You're just being too sensitive," or "You're overreacting," as if your feelings are inconvenient rather than valid. They'll question your standards, making you second-guess whether you're asking for too much, when in reality, you're simply asking for respect. But let's be clear, if someone genuinely cares about you, they won't mock your boundaries. They won't make you feel like you're too much. Instead, they'll acknowledge your need for peace and do their part to help protect it. The danger lies in tolerating repeated violations. The more you let someone ignore your boundaries, the more they believe they can get away with it. It becomes a pattern, one that slowly erodes your self-worth and replaces it with self-doubt. They'll keep pushing, testing, and crossing the line until it's barely visible anymore. And the longer you stay silent, the deeper you fall into that cycle. Constantly giving, constantly adjusting, constantly shrinking yourself to accommodate someone who never really meets you halfway. But you need to know this: you don't have to keep sacrificing your comfort just to maintain a connection. You're not asking for too much. You're simply asking for basic human decency, respect, kindness, and consideration. And those who truly care won't hesitate to give it. They'll respect your boundaries, not because they're forced to, but because it matters to them that you feel safe, seen, and heard. They won't make you feel like your needs are burdens. They'll support you in setting limits, not punish you for it. So don't hold back. Don't apologize for drawing that line in the sand. Your boundaries are not only valid, they are necessary. And when someone tries to challenge your boundaries, don't hesitate. Stand your ground. Because you deserve to be in relationships where your limits are honored, your voice is heard, and your emotional well-being isn't up for debate. You should never feel like you have to justify your need for peace. You are worthy of love that uplifts, respect that's consistent, and care that doesn't come with conditions. Never let anyone convince you that you're asking for too much. And when someone tries to nudge you past your comfort zone or question your decisions, remember this: you don't owe them an explanation. Your peace, your energy, and your emotional space are worth defending. Have you ever found yourself constantly being the one to reach out? The one always checking in, planning the meetups, being there for them, while they're barely present when it's your turn. You know exactly what that feels like, don't you? It's the kind of one-sided connection that weighs on your heart. You're carrying the emotional load, while they coast by, only popping in when it benefits them. You make the effort, you call, you text, you initiate the plans. You do the work to maintain the relationship. But when the roles are reversed, it's silence. It feels like pulling teeth just to get a response, let alone any genuine effort. They vanish when you need support. They're suddenly busy when it's time to show up for you. And deep down, you start to recognize the painful truth. They only value you when it's convenient for them. When they need something, your time, your attention, your support, they're right there. But when you need someone to lean on, when it's your turn to be held, they disappear like smoke in the wind. It starts to feel like you're being used, not appreciated, as if you're just a means to an end. Over time, this dynamic wears on your spirit. You begin to feel more like an obligation than a priority, like you're only relevant when it's convenient for them. And slowly, that realization sinks in. The relationship begins to feel one-sided, a lopsided emotional investment where you're the only one truly trying. That imbalance doesn't just sting, it drains you. You give and give, but nothing meaningful comes back. Eventually, you're left feeling depleted, invisible, and undervalued. Now, let's be real. We all go through rough patches. Everyone has moments when they lean on others for help. That's part of life. But there's a key difference between needing help occasionally and constantly taking without giving. In any healthy relationship, there's a rhythm, a flow. When you support someone, they return that support in some way. It's not about tallying up favors. It's about emotional reciprocity. People who genuinely care about you won't wait until it's easy or beneficial. They'll show up because they want to. They'll check in not out of obligation, but out of concern. They'll be there when things are messy, not just when things are smooth. They'll lend a hand without expecting something in return. They'll listen. They'll care. And most importantly, they'll be present. But those who don't truly care won't make that effort. They only reach out when they're in need, when they want advice, a favor, or someone to vent to. They'll call when they're stranded, not when they're thinking of you. And when it's your turn, when you're the one feeling lost or in pain, they vanish. You'll be met with silence. No call, no text, no comfort. That silence? It speaks volumes. It's a harsh reminder that they don't value the relationship the way you do. They don't check in because they care. They check in because they want something. And the moment that need disappears, so do they. And that's the part that cuts the deepest, isn't it? And then it hits you. After all the reaching out, the thoughtful messages, the time spent being there, you realize you're the only one showing up. That aching question begins to echo louder and louder. Why am I still trying? Why do you keep investing in someone who clearly has no intention of meeting you halfway? You pour your heart, your energy, your patience into the relationship, and all they do is take. It's like pouring water into a bucket riddled with holes. No matter how much love, attention, or care you give, it leaks right out. Nothing sticks. Nothing fills. Eventually, you're left running on empty, emotionally exhausted, and mentally drained. It starts to feel like your generosity is being exploited, like your time and kindness are being taken for granted. And here's what stings the most. They don't even realize it. They're oblivious to the imbalance, blind to the emotional weight you carry. To them, you're just a safety net, someone to call when they're lonely, bored, or in need of a favor. But when it comes to your needs, your silence is met with more silence. Your support is rarely returned, and your emotional labor goes unnoticed. They don't get it. They don't see that relationships, real, meaningful ones, are built on mutual effort, on shared investment, on reciprocity. One-sided love, no matter how strong, eventually loses its strength. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. You are worthy of more. You are worthy of relationships that are balanced and honest. Of people who are present not just when it's easy or beneficial, but when you need them most. You deserve to be surrounded by friends, family, and partners who value your presence, recognize your effort, and are willing to match it with their own. Because love, real love, isn't just about taking. It's about giving back too. Because that's what genuine care really looks like. It's not about convenience or taking advantage. It's about showing up consistently, about being there when it matters, not just when it's easy. It's about giving support, offering love, and showing kindness without expecting something in return. True care is seen in actions, not empty promises. So pause for a moment and take a good look at the relationships in your life. Are you always the one initiating contact? Always the one pouring your heart into every conversation, giving your time, your energy, your emotional presence? If that sounds familiar, it might be time to ask yourself a hard but important question. Is this truly the kind of connection I want to keep investing in? You are worthy of relationships that feel balanced, where the love isn't just given, but returned, where effort is mutual, not one-sided. You shouldn't have to keep giving while receiving nothing in return. Stop allowing people to treat you like an emotional safety net. They're only when it's convenient for them. Start placing value on your own time, your own peace, and your own emotional energy. You deserve people who show up for you, not just in words, but through real, consistent actions. People who meet you halfway because they value you, not just when they're in need, but because you matter. And here's a difficult truth that many of us face sooner or later. People who don't genuinely care about you often make you feel like the problem. They'll twist the narrative, avoid responsibility, and leave you second-guessing your own value. Instead of owning their actions, they deflect and turn the focus back on you. They'll call you too much. They'll say you're too sensitive or accuse you of overreacting. All because you dare to ask for basic respect, for simple decency, for emotional honesty. And as painful as it is, this kind of deflection is one of the clearest signs they don't truly care. You see, people who truly don't care about you will rarely, if ever, take responsibility for their actions. They won't admit when they're wrong, and they certainly won't pause to reflect on how their behavior might have affected you. Instead of saying, "I should have handled that better," they twist the narrative. Suddenly, you're the one to blame, and they're the innocent victim of your so-called overreaction. This is emotional manipulation in one of its most subtle and damaging forms. It's not just about avoiding blame. It's about making you question your own reality. They chip away at your confidence, making you doubt what you saw, what you felt, and what you know deep down to be true. Over time, you start wondering, am I overreacting? Am I too emotional? Am I the difficult one here? But here's the truth. You're not the problem. They are. When someone genuinely cares about you, they take responsibility. They recognize when they've hurt you, even unintentionally. And they don't offer hollow apologies just to smooth things over. They show through changed behavior that they are committed to doing better. They see your pain, they hear your voice, and they take your feelings seriously. That's what respect looks like. In contrast, someone who doesn't care will twist everything. They'll try to flip the script and convince you that your needs are unreasonable, that your desire for kindness, honesty, or simple follow-through is somehow too much. And if you push back, they'll tell you that you're being dramatic, that you're too sensitive, that you're just imagining things. And this is where the real damage begins. Because when someone doesn't truly care, they will often gaslight you into believing their version of reality. You start to question your memory, your instincts, and even your self-worth. Have you ever tried to bring up something they did that hurt you, only for them to shrug it off as if it meant nothing? They'll wave it away. They'll call it not a big deal. They'll treat your concern like it's trivial, like you're making a mountain out of a molehill. And suddenly you're left standing there wondering if maybe they're right. But deep down, you know they're not. And that gut feeling, that quiet inner voice, it's worth listening to. And in those moments, it's so easy to start doubting yourself. Maybe you are overreacting. Maybe you are too sensitive. Maybe, just maybe they're right. That's the dangerous seed they plant in your mind. But let me say this clearly. Your feelings are valid. Your experiences are real. And your emotional response to being mistreated isn't an overreaction. It's a reflection of your inner truth trying to speak up. When someone brushes off your emotions, tells you you're being too much, or claims you're the one creating the problem, they're not doing it because you're wrong. They're doing it because they refuse to take responsibility. They don't want to look in the mirror and admit that their words or actions caused harm. So instead, they twist the story. They shift the blame. They make you feel like you're the unstable one. And this behavior doesn't just hurt, it destabilizes you. It chips away at your clarity, your confidence, your self-worth. You begin to second-guess everything. Was it really that serious? Did I misread the situation? Should I just let go? You get caught in this emotional fog, unsure of what's real and what's been manipulated. Over time, being in a relationship like that wears you down. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You start to believe the lies they've fed you. That maybe you're too needy, too emotional, too complicated. And the saddest part is, the more you internalize their behavior, the more power you give them over your peace. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. You are not too much. You are not the problem. You are a human being who deserves respect, compassion, and understanding. You deserve to be in relationships where your feelings are heard, your needs are acknowledged, and your boundaries are honored, not dismissed. When someone genuinely cares about you, they don't make you feel like a burden. They don't push responsibility away or point fingers when things go wrong. Instead, they lean in, they listen, they care enough to make it right. They don't twist your reality. They don't gaslight you into questioning your memories or doubting your feelings. Instead, they show up fully, honestly, and with humility. They take responsibility for their actions, not because they have to, but because they care about how their choices impact you. They don't make you feel small, unimportant, or like your emotions are a burden. They make you feel heard. They make you feel seen. And most of all, they make you feel valued. But when someone doesn't care, they'll go to great lengths to avoid accountability. They'll shift the blame, rewrite the story, and leave you standing there with all the weight of their wrongs on your shoulders. Suddenly, it's your fault things went wrong. Suddenly, you're the problem. And that's exactly where you need to pause and draw the line. You were never meant to carry the consequences of someone else's choices. Stop allowing others to pin their mistakes on you. Stop internalizing the guilt that doesn't belong to you. You don't have to apologize for their behavior. You don't have to silence your voice just to keep the peace. Your emotions are not a weakness. They're a signal. A signal that something isn't right. And here's the truth. Your voice matters. Your feelings are valid. And how someone treats you absolutely matters. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're too much for simply wanting honesty, care, and mutual respect. The moment you start recognizing these patterns, the manipulation, the blame shifting, the emotional dismissal, is the moment you begin reclaiming your worth. That's when you stop accepting confusion as normal and you start demanding clarity, consistency, and care. You deserve relationships where people take ownership of their actions. You deserve to be surrounded by those who will admit when they're wrong and take steps to make it right. You deserve love that doesn't come with conditions, excuses, or emotional games. Love that shows up, speaks truth, and makes you feel safe. So protect your peace, honor your worth, and never be afraid to let go of people who refuse to take responsibility for the way they treat you. Wishing you strength, health, and happiness on your journey. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Mindset Daily, for more empowering content like this.